Hey Crime Content Publications followers, viewers, and supporters. Thank you for clicking on my video, taking the time out to see what it is exactly I have to say today. For those of you new to my channel, I do encourage you to subscribe. This is practically the channel hub for tips, facts, resources when it comes to business in general, but more targeting small businesses, nonprofit organization, entrepreneurs, because we know that this type of work in any of these three platforms I just named is more independent, more independent foundations, especially when it comes to starting your own business, starting a nonprofit organization, or being an entrepreneur freelancer who works for yourself. My name is Arthur Sherry, podcast show host and author practically, and founder of Crime Publishing Content, where publishing and marketing meet. In the comments section, as usual, guys, or in the description section, you'll be able to find the link to my separate podcast show. This is not my podcast show. This is my YouTube channel. But on the podcast show is where we market the services, work, and pretty much business of entrepreneurs across the country. Why do we do this? Well, our goal is to rebuild the power of business networking. Number two, we know that sometimes interviewing different types of small businesses, entrepreneurs, and organizations, our listeners are also able to get connected with more resources or connections that can help them in the long run, okay? So one thing we preach here is that, you can promote and market all day long, but if you don't network, if you're not willing to support another small business along the way, there's no way for people to really know you exist at the end of the day. So, anyways, this topic segment today is practically titled, the reason y'all hear me think about it is because I don't write the titles until after I actually record the video. So, practically like card app and business protection for yourself. Now, I did a segment already where we kind of go more into details for things to look out for when it comes to people that have been in business a little longer than you. Let me start by saying, young people, I'm going to try to put an age on this. Younger adults are often the main target for identity theft. Why? Because these guys have practically little to no credit. They've never gotten anything in their name yet. They've never started a business yet. Therefore, when it comes to sharks and hackers and scammers out here, even if those people are in your own family, you become a target just being a young person. Now, this is nothing new, but the fact that we are in a new era, we're in a time, unfortunately, that the economy is hurting. Therefore, you have citizens that begin to do things even if they've never done them before, on both the positive and negative side, but unfortunately more on the negative side. This is why there's so many card app scams, y'all. There's so many bank account scams today. If you've noticed, there's so many software and digital technology scams today. What did I come on my channel to discuss when we talk about a topic like this? Some people have already sit in the privacy of their homes, in the privacy of business meetings, and compared whether something like digital debit card apps and checkbooks, how one varies to the other. Were times different? Was the economy different when all we used was cash and checkbooks? Okay, now we're living in a time where, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons, because when you talk about a debit card app, you have direct access to the funds that you have pretty much at your fingertips anytime you want to check it. Back in the day though, y'all, like before this stuff existed, probably just 30-40 years ago, you had to call and find out, or call the bank, find out how much is in your bank account. Go to the bank and check on things, right? Statements still existed, so that's an option that the older generations had too. And then they had checkbooks, okay? when we talk about debit card apps and what they offer and why this has become so trendy, not just in 2022, but I'm saying up until 2022. When you talk about security, not only do you have something like your account at your fingertips when you're working with a debit card app, you are able to do things like fingerprint lock or a certain PIN or a certain password to even access that account and the information that dwells there with it. Some people find this very convenient. Okay, this is why thousands upon thousands, even millions of people use debit card apps today as their banking option. Okay, you got Dave, Chime. I could go on and on, cause like when we talk about PayPal and Cash App, those are just probably two of the most universal that have really grown as a favorite in society today, because people like the convenience of accessing their account at their fingertips, being able to send money, transfer money, do these type of things that weren't possible before, right from the comforts of their home, right? They could be driving a car, they could be in the store, they need to send Jill $15 for that project she helped with, they can do it now, okay? Sometimes these accounts can even be shared with multiple other partners, right, who may play a part in the business that you have. This makes, once again, deposits and transfers and things like this more convenient for small businesses. But once again, we're about to talk about where you want to be careful, what's been going on out here, how many victims. There's been a surge in identity theft victims. It's so bad today, guys, that a lot of people don't even know they're victims yet. They're them, and their identity belongs to them, but they don't know that they're victims. Like somebody's out here using. I want to talk to the black community really quick, because y'all used to have it bad about putting cable and lights and stuff like this in your child's name. And that's a whole nother topic, because why screw that young child's credit up before they even have a chance to? Is not life hard enough already when we talk about minorities and coming from poor communities and things like this, or lower than middle class at least? We have to begin to think, and we're going to have these type of discussions, because yes, we think about the future of the children when you talk about the Crown Publishing Content Foundation. We also think about ways to invest, and we talk about ways that you can invest in your children. And I'm sorry, unless you're putting an account in their name that's going to help them 25 years down the road, it's time to stop. And though you're the parent, that's practically identity theft. Anything, let me explain this. Anything that you were doing and somebody else's social security number, somebody else's, like, I'm not talking about government assistance and all this stuff, guys, because of course you have to put your kids' information on certain things to get certain things done, because they're asking you for their information, and this is so you can even prove that you're the guardian or whatever. But if you're putting stuff on there, and it's so sad because kids don't know that you're doing it, and nobody can defend that child unless somebody catches something like that. And it's been going on so long. Me being an adult now and looking at things the way I look at them for myself, I'm like, this is terrible. Were people really for years out here getting whole credit, getting whole bills and stuff like that in their children's name, and that's very unfortunate. So when we compare checkbooks and debit card apps, for example, we got to talk about and look at the fact that cash and checks over the course of time are easy to be lost. But if you're somebody like me, you lose debit cards sometimes too. But I feel this fact of my research that I looked into, because yes, a whole checkbook balance that has account information and stuff like this on it. And I'm not teaching y'all nothing new, but yes, you had scammers when checkbooks. I mean, you had identity theft criminals out here when checkbooks were kind of more all the rave before debit card apps existed. So outside of the fact that cash and checks are just kind of pretty much just takes a little more responsibility with keeping up with, people like apps. Some of these apps you don't even have to have a debit card to go with them. You just have a strict account that allows you to receive direct deposits and transfer those monies into accounts that you would like to use, like your bank account or another card app servicer that you have. It's kind of impossible for a check to be bounced. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it just kind of alleviates you going through that type of stuff when you're not using checks at all. So this is another reason debit card apps have become very, very popular in the new age. Now, there are apps. I'm just going to mention one. Norton, just about everybody knows about Norton, because not only do they offer software protection and things like this, it's like business insurance is still a good thing, but in the new millennium we have apps like Norton. We have whole business services out here like Norton that do provide software security and identity security. Okay, so practically this looks like them having a list of services that will practically notify you every time somebody is using your social security card, bank account, or somebody that's not you. Now, we can't just always say stuff like this was probably here for the baby boomers. So, but I'm not knocking the baby boomers, because at the same time, things were not on the level that they're on today when it comes to accounting and finances and utilities and the economy, to where they even needed the resources that we have today. So I think that's an interesting observation I made there. Like, or maybe Norton existed, but they definitely have more options, a whole longer list of services, because what happened? Technology practically elevated, technology itself expanded, technology made deals with money servicers and financial institutions, so we can expect for there to be more protection type companies that look out for you when it comes to your credit, when it comes to your business credit, your personal credit, your personal information altogether, okay? And I just wanted to kind of let you guys know that when it comes to the Norton identity theft services that they offer, you setting something like this up for them, I don't know if they'll ever be a sponsor for me one day, because when I say I totally advocate protecting yourself as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I mean, because you wouldn't target anybody poor. And poor people get targeted too, probably just for different reasons, but I'm talking about these hackers and spammers out here that are strictly, they know their stuff when it comes to how to obtain information to steal money from you, okay? This is why we're about to talk about this in a minute too. You don't just give your bank account information, and you're going to run into it as a business owner, but I encourage society to be careful out there, because man, where do I start? If somebody, y'all know how when you do a contract with a job, you get hired, a new hire contract, they may need direct deposit information because you chose direct deposit as a way to get paid every 2 weeks, or as a way to get paid if you're paid a salary, or if you're paid weekly. So there are people with small businesses out here, or that pretty much disguise themselves as small businesses, who will do the same thing and ask for your direct deposit information, claiming that it's on the basis of you getting paid for working for that business. So pretty much I just want people to be aware of the type of tactics that hackers and spies and all this type of stuff, just being aware of the type of tactics that they use. So Norton's services is going to include cyber threat attack protection, restore and reimbursement in case your identity is stolen and you end up losing everything for whatever reason, like practically another version of business insurance. But my question is, as an entrepreneur, as a small business, if you don't have business insurance, like traditional business insurance already, you definitely want to kind of check out the services that Norton Security offers. That's going to be N as in Nancy, ORTON. You guys are probably familiar with them already, but I'm just here to advocate that, guys, they can still really do your business a lot of good. They can still do your nonprofit organization a lot of good, okay? Because you don't start up these type of things, right, just to be robbed at the end of the day, just for your identity to be stolen at the end of the day. You're actually putting in that hard work. You're actually taking the steps to success, the hard route. You're probably sweating blood and tears, right, to look and possibly get to the results that you are trying to see as a small business. So you don't put all that hard work in for somebody to come and steal your identity. That's all I'm saying, okay? They also offer detect and alert services, so practically as often as you would like for them to run a scan on things like your credit, your business credit, your utility, every utility you're subscribed to in the system, right? What else is it that they will detect for you? I'm sorry, I said credit, utilities. Oh, bank accounts, like pretty much everything that's happening with your bank account. When you subscribe to these guys, it's going to look like being able to have them to scan as often as you want to, just pretty much scan your whole identity. And that's going to be the same as far as the software side of their services. Scanning your devices like your laptops, your phones, your tablets, whatever it is that you use for business out here, okay? I researched 2 plans that Norton offers for you guys because I was going to be on this topic today. There's an $8.99 a month, $8.99 subscription plan, which is going to be titled their standard plan, that allows you to receive up to $25,000 of reimbursement and restoration, pretty much like that service, because they already are aware. And Norton, if y'all read some articles out here, it's already pretty much set in stone that hacking cyber security, all of this stuff is already going on. We're just here to remind people, take precaution on every level you can. Even though we live in a new era where debit card apps and stuff like this is practically what everybody prefers, it also opened the door for these type of criminals. So you just want to be careful. And then it's going to come, this $8.99 a month subscription is also going to come with identity and social security number alerts. So if somebody is trying to get something in your business name or your personal credit name, Norton will alert you. This just makes making that report later on, reporting fraud later on, and you having this proof from the Norton platform, it makes you reporting what you need to report a little easier to your bank or to authorities, the proper authorities, okay? And it also comes with credit monitoring. So you can't beat that. We're talking about you investing $9 a month into protecting your business, protecting your identity, protecting your bank accounts, okay? Now, there are other business insurance companies. Crime Publishing Content today is just here to advertise Norton and how they have helped people across the country over the past decade, okay? Then they have what you call, there's going to be more plans other than the 2 that I name, but there's definitely more plans. I'll let you guys go do the research. Just go to Norton.com, download the app, see what works for you if you can't afford anything better. But what is it to us to pay $9 a month to protect our identities in the new era, okay? Because digital technology doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon, and people love the concept of mobile banking, of access to accounts digitally, okay? The next plan is called the Advantage Plan for $17.99 a month, and this is going to come with up to $100,000 in reimbursement protection if your identity was to be, stolen. Social Security number alerts. This just lets you know everywhere your social security number is being used, and pretty much you confirming whether you used it or if that was somebody else, okay? Credit monitoring services, locking your identity or your credit reports anytime you need to, okay? Being able to lock that and calling the bureaus, credit bureaus, to unlock that when you're ready to do new business transactions or get new things in your business or personal credit. Phone takeover monitoring, alerts on crimes in your name. This is what the Advantage plan, which the first one is $8.99 a month. I named 3 things that it will include, and then you have the $17.99 a month subscription that they offer. That's going to come with even more protection, okay? So one of the biggest scams that's going on out here, y'all, like whether we pay attention to it or not, or whether we, and if you're not paying attention, I'm not going to say you're not paying attention, but it's kind of hard to miss it. Like through the whole year of 2020 and 2021, this was covered by major news media anchors, okay? And the thing is, you had people like, just when the government stepped in and said, look, we want to provide grants through the SBA system, or we have loans available for businesses that took a hit or they might be trying to stay functioning during a pandemic. Y'all see what I'm talking about. Pandemic unemployment, stimulus checks. As good as those type of assistance platforms were, you still had hackers, and unfortunately you still had greedy people in the world who saw this as an opportunity to commit fraud. And trust me, they're getting more and more of them every day. Like, it's 2 years later since this assistance became available, and they are still, if not investigating people, most definitely have already obtained them, and those people are paying time for their crime. And just to remind anybody out there, because I never know who's going to come across my video, I mean, this is federal crime. You can't steal anybody's identity because you feel like you and your family is hungry, and this was just an easy target out here, and you go do that. You don't want to do that, okay? You will be considered a federal criminal if you're caught. That's how that goes. So, with all the federal assistance that came out during the pandemic and before the pandemic, you had federal grants that helped citizens with things like utilities, child care, college, right? There's college grants out here that the federal government helps people with, down payment assistance on certain things, especially if you are a small business or a nonprofit organization. So that's what I mean when I say federal grants. You have even like certain educational, I don't want to say platforms, educational institutions and programs and organizations that find themselves receiving grants yearly, who I encourage to be careful out here, because everybody that pretty much grant funders that have been here for years, guys, whether y'all believe it or not, there are hackers out here imitating them. And this is why I went ahead and researched some information on the Federal Trade Commission website for you guys today, because I have no reason to lie for viewers, okay? The hackers and spammers today they've gotten so crafty that they will imitate grant funders. They will imitate your whole college. They will imitate your whole bank. They have special skills to change their numbers, to disguise themselves a certain way. And then in the new era, my advice to millennials is just watch people. Watch your surroundings. Watch the business information that you are giving about your business, about the way you chose to handle your business, because you just never know who's going to become a hacker next. It's really crazy. It's really crazy to even try to explain this. And trust me, even though I'm about to do this segment, I'm not even near covering what all I would like to say. But I think I'm saying everything in a nutshell if I'm telling you guys, most definitely research the companies, the grant funders How are you going to research your grant funders and make sure that they're official before you're giving out your bank information that they claim they need to provide you with the assistance? You're going to go to a website called grants.gov where all official grant funders, business numbers and business names are already registered. Okay. How else can you decipher whether a grant funder or somebody telling you that they're trying to provide you assistance, but they're just going to need your bank account and account information? How else are you going to decipher that they're really a grant funder? Well, you're going to assess things like the fact that there's never, ever going to be a fee associated with just applying for a grant or receiving a grant or finding out information about a grant. Okay, so this is another way you'll be able to decipher and tell whether you're working with a hacker or somebody trying to get information for a hacker so they can hack you. That's the type of stuff y'all got to watch out for. Like, that's what I meant to say. It's not just the hackers. It's who they have to hire at the end of the day. It's who they talk to, hire, pay to get information about your life so they can do what they would like to do. Okay? If you suspect that you may be a victim of grant funding fraud, why am I doing a segment like this? Well, a part of what I do in business consultations for small businesses and entrepreneurs is, connect them with resources. And that's one thing about it. All the resources that we connect people with are 100% legitimate and official. Okay, but because I don't have time for that type of federal trouble, right? We connect you with programs and organizations and other small businesses that are going to be official, certified, and registered. Okay, so why would I have that type of information or be willing to do those type of consultations and not also tell you the things to look out for, the things to be conscious about when you are dealing with financial institutions or debit card apps like we just talked about, or other businesses or grant funders who may be what is that called? What's the word? Like they're just pretty much copycatting another business to get information about you. You want to be careful about that type of stuff. Anyways, to report fraud, guys, it's the where you're gonna go, who you're gonna email, support@grants.gov, and see where it takes you. Okay. Of course, no investigation. Investigation might be started. I must also warn you guys because it's all type of madness going on in the world today. I advise you not to start investigations or report anything that you don't have evidence about. Because once these people get involved and you reported something like credit card identity theft, fraud, this and that, and they investigate that for real and don't find anything, that's going to come out for itself. It's like, damn, you just whole lied on an organization or individual or a business, because this still goes on too. You have that's called a false report, and it is another federal crime. Okay, so I'm just here. I'm just a messenger. Spammers, another thing they do, they might use deceptive phone numbers. Their phone number may very well look like your bank's. Their phone number may very well look like the real grant funder organizations, because technology has allowed this to be able to happen. Okay, which makes life a lot more harder for a victim if they were to find themselves in this predicament. Okay. A real grant provider would never call you and say, hey, you've been selected, you're eligible, and we found you. It's like, I know they would be lying because I've changed my number about 10 times in the past year. It's like, how did you find me? I might have just changed my number 3 weeks ago. So a call like that to me would definitely be suspect, right? Same thing with my emails. There's certain email accounts I only use for a certain type of correspondence. I'm just giving y'all an example. So if I were to get an email from somebody who claims to be a grant servicer or funder, if I was to get an email from them and I know I've only given that email to a selected 3 people, then they have already made my job of reporting fraud a lot easier. So that's how that looks. So you want to look I know y'all have been taught already about, how spam is real and how hackers can also get access to your devices, to your software, and things like this, access to everything about you just from you clicking on the wrong email. So we know that part already, but what did I say? They're getting more advanced than that. Look at, do you ever, why businesses ask, how did you hear about us? Y'all think that's just a random question they ask? Think again. And if you're a small business or you're an entrepreneur, freelancer, small profit, nonprofit organization who doesn't take the time out to ask, where did you hear about me? Where did you find information about me? You might want to change that in 2022. Because see, such a basic question could very well expose or let you know the type of people you've been dealing with in business, okay? Or that you can avoid dealing with in business. Real grant and loan funders would never ask for your bank or card info over the phone before you've even done an application. If you know you've never done a bank account, a grant or loan application, and these people are calling you saying that, yeah, well, you were chosen, we found you in the system and this is what you qualify for, it's red flaggish. And you can also flag that to the IRS, by the way, since we're talking about flags. For those who might not know, you can also register your whole phone number or however many business phone numbers that you have with the FTC Commission, Federal Trade Commission. This means putting your number on a do not call. This means protecting your number from spam calls, pretty much. Like, what did I tell y'all? They can imitate numbers to look just like these organizations, these banks. They can imitate. This is what hackers are doing. But you're going to want to register your phone number on this list if you haven't already. What it's going to do is block spam calls. You'll be added to the Federal Trade Commission's do not call list when it comes to spam calls. And once again, this is just makes evidence of what you may have been going through when it comes to hackers and spammers and them trying to get information about you. This makes proving your case easy. So if you haven't, that is one route, one option that you do have as far as protecting things like your phone number. Did you know 6.5 Americans don't have bank accounts as of today? I'm not here to tell you why. I'm just talking statistics. And this would equal out to about 8.5 million people who don't have bank accounts. Whether it's by choice or I want to talk about something with y'all, okay? Today, an overdraft fee is going to look like $35 per overdraft. That's number one. Some have claimed that bank accounts themselves are more expensive than the actual perk of having a bank account. They like these debit card servicer apps because it's less strenuous for them. They may pay $2.99 a month or $10 a month. It's still lesser than $35. And yes, they get to overdraft to up to, it depends on what card app you're using and how frequent you get direct deposits. But I'm saying these debit card apps are taking people through way less than banks have been lately. And people have more of a fear in the new millennium, in the new era, of bank account identity theft. We all know there's a process you can go through with the bank if it happens to you. But who wants to end up in those shoes? Insufficient funds or $35 per overdraft fee situations have caused or did cause during the pandemic many Americans' bank accounts to lead to account closures, okay? Now that their accounts are closed, this may or may not be affecting their credit. This may or may not be affecting whether they can go get a brand new car off the lot or not. This may or may not be affecting their results when they're talking to landlords and things like this to be able to rent. Things that we all know we need to survive, okay? Account overdrafts for some became too expensive, and the average of overdraft fees they pay a year is $300 now. That's average. That means really, in reality, people are probably paying in the year 2022, I'm going to say between 2020 and 2022, much more than $300 a year in overdraft fees. What does this say? Maybe people are not making enough at work. Maybe utilities and mortgages and inflation altogether is beginning to affect people's bank accounts, or bank accounts have just gotten too expensive for what we would call the low class community. Not everybody, but I did just tell y'all what statistics says. 6.5% of Americans do not have bank accounts as we speak. Whether they're freelancer, entrepreneur, small business, nonprofit, they don't. And then this comes out to calculate as 8.5 million people. Card apps are just more popular for people. Whether it's going to be the best option in the long run or not, I cannot call that. But you do have many business researchers, economy researchers, who have given their opinions already, okay? Because a lot of things is still like that today. You just can't get done without a bank account, and that can almost end up becoming a problem when it comes to the economy. So anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Just kind of wanted to share a little information about what card apps, bank accounts, hackers, how that is literally affecting society today, and how you play a part. Even if you become an identity theft victim, you play a part because did you take all steps that you possibly could, even as a low income household, even as a minority, even as a small business, if that's the case? Did you take all necessary precautions possible to protect your social security number, your credit, your household? Are you doing that in the new millennium? Because this is what it's going to look like, especially for small businesses. People are simply hurting, and anybody they can find or in their head that becomes a target. They become a victim of this stuff. So you're going to have to do your part. I mean, because you can't control what a person decides to try to do with your information. But what you can do is making and proving the fraud that has happened to your life a little easier for attorneys, for the IRS, or whoever you're reporting to, because you got the proper business protection, business insurance, business investigation services. Now you're protected. It's just a kind of like a FYI segment, an encouragement segment, an informative segment to remind you guys that, yeah, a part of the war that's going on in my eyes is tech savvy versus the untech savvy. Because a lot of y'all, when it comes to tech, if it's not your iPhone or your devices, like outside of that and what you like to do on them, you're not really up to par to what you need to know to keep yourself protected from spies and hackers. I could go deeper, because things like your Wi-Fi and your Wi-Fi password and who you're sharing it with, and how hackers can get information about you just from being connected to your data servicer. Bluetooth being turned off, location being turned off, the settings. I'm not going to say too much, but I guess since I've already talked on it, definitely check the settings in your email accounts, in your phones, if you are a small business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a citizen at all, because statistics show that there are more hacked victims, identity theft victims, in the past 2 years alone than there's ever been. And I did start in the beginning of the segment talking about the SBA loans and grants that were available for a minute, the unemployment and things like this. And yes, the government's doing the best they can to weed out who's doing what, who did it when, and why. But as they investigate, as they do their jobs, these are ways that you guys can protect yourself. Thank you guys for tuning in to another informational segment with the Crown Content Publications YouTube channel where publishing and marketing meet. If you'd like to learn more about my mission to service authors and freelancers in 2022, visit my website that will be updated weekly going into the summer because we have some things coming up. www.contentcrownpublications.com. When I say things, just updated services, updated information about who we are and why we choose to do what we do, updated information for homeschool parents and small business owners who may be interested in our content management and content curriculum organization services. Okay, so you don't want to miss out on that. Until next time, I thank you for tuning in. If you have more information you'd like to share on the topic that I was trying to go into on this segment, please feel free to leave it in the comments section. The comment section will also link how you can book a consultation for either publication services, business consultation services, grant referral and resource services, and homeschool curriculum and homeschool strategy planning services. Okay? Thank you guys for tuning in. We thank you for your support, and until next time.